because males, like, it should be fine to struggle, but it's like you gotta talk to your mates, like, and that's the coolest thing about, I think, where we live and the days we have. Like, we have so many hobbies and hang out with friends. Like, a bunch of my friends, like, we have 8 friends, and we might not all surf together, we all golf together, we all love it. We can bro down and, like, you know, have a game of golf, and you can tell someone's like energy through golf, right? You see it doing not just like present or whatnot, you know, and it's sometimes hard. Like you said, like that stat about males, like fuck, like people should be able to speak up. Like there's nothing wrong in that. Like, and that's what pisses me off the most when you hear that news.
Welcome back to the Keegan and Company podcast. For those who are new to the show, my name is Keegan Hipgrave, and guys, if you haven't already, could I get you to jump over, give us a little like and subscribe on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on, whether it's YouTube, Apple, Spotify. It's a great way for us to grow the podcast, grow the platform, and just have some incredible crew like I've got on today. In this episode, I'm joined by a longtime friend, professional surfer, Sheldon Simkus. How are you, brother?
I'm very good. I'm excited for this.
Bro, this is so, we were just saying, like, for those who are listening and not watching this, we're outside. Like we're like it's a beautiful winter's day. Like we're here on the Tweed River. We've got the Troopy in the background, and I tell you what, I'm pumped to be doing it with you, my man.
Yeah, like when you messaged me, I was like, "There's no way I'm saying no to this. Like this is going to be such a good opportunity for both of us," because I don't know if many people know this, but we went to school together 10 years ago. You know.
Yeah.
And so, like we were saying, this is going to be a sick reunion and like catch up and talk about life.
Man, it's a full circle. It's a full circle. Yeah. I was because just for context for crew who are listening, like we had a little wave this morning. And to be honest, beautiful morning. Like fucking cracking morning. Like the sun was coming up. 2 of the greats, Corbin and Sammy Zuby, rolled in, and mate, it was one. I was talking to Corbs out in the water, and he's like, "Man, can you believe we're like 10 years out of school now?" I'm like, fuck, that's so cool. And even like doing like some prep for this podcast, I was like, when did me and Shelley like first link up? It's like year 9 or something.
Yeah, so I think 2010. So we're 14 years ago.
That's so insane, man.
That's like half our life ago.
Yeah.
Like we were sitting together in class, and like I said, I can't remember what we were learning that day or what we were, you know, but like they're the coolest things about the life. Like you get to meet people like, you know, we got to sit next to each other and we went completely different career paths. But like now look, we're back together and we get to talk shop.
I find like that stuff's so cool, especially when like if we're out like having a few drinks or if you see each other out, it's just like, it's cool to see different directories and people going in like totally different directions. Totally. But then you can do full circle moment, come back, do a little podcast on the Tweed River. Like it's so rogue. Like
I was born just up the road here. I grew up literally a couple K's down here. Like this is where I learned to fish and learn how to drive a boat and all this kind of stuff. So I feel like it's quite fitting to be here talking to you about a bit about me. Man,
I'm keen to dive into it, like especially the whole surfing space. Like you've obviously like surfing when we're in high school and going on to that. But I think before we kick it off, like I'd love to know what growing up was like. Like you said, it was here. Like it was right here on the Tweed River. Like what did it look like?
It was incredible. Like I think like we all spoke about this morning, like the Northern Rivers and the Gold Coast is one of the most special places in the world. Like I've been fortunate enough to travel around the world and experience some beautiful places, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, but coming home is like the most incredible spot, and it's shaped who I am, and I'm forever grateful for that. And the friends I've met and the opportunities I've had has been like incredible with where we've grown. Like the both of us have had the most incredible upbringing going to Palm Beach Common School. Like
so special.
The sporting programs there, like it gives me chills to think about like what we were doing when we were at school and the opportunities and pretty much the life it's given me. Like, you know, being able to surf. We were surfing like you were saying this morning, we were during school days, we were surfing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. We'd go and surf for an hour and a half.
That's a subject. Surfing sport
apparently
surfing sport excellence, because we had because I was in the rugby sports excellence program, you're in the surfing sport excellence, and I remember I was telling you this morning I was so filthy because like we would be tackling each other and we'd be like running fitness like in the morning, roll into period 1, and then you guys would come in with your wet hair, your boards up, like these guys have just been surfing for the past couple hours. I was so jealous.
Yeah, like during those summer months in like the 30-degree heat, watching you guys run around the field, I was like, there's not a chance I'm doing that. I'm going down the beach, boys. Like, so we were very lucky. But yeah, honestly, growing up around here, it's been a blessing, and I'm so lucky. I you know, maybe could have grown up somewhere else, but in hindsight, I'm like, gee, like I'm very fortunate, and what a place. Like, look at us. We're in winter right now, and I'm a little bit rugged up. I'm a little bit like, you know, but you could be out here. The sun's out. It's not a cloud in the sky.
We're even saying like if you're like midday, you could get away with surfing in boardies at the moment.
For sure. Like so it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's look at this, it's beautiful. We're outdoors and we're doing a podcast.
Mate, it's incredible. Even the surfing aspect, like what towed you into surfing? Like, why was that the sport?
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Like growing up around here, we have so much water. And you know, my parents, especially my mum, she was getting me down to the beach at a very young age, and the whole surf life saving nipper program on the Gold Coast is huge, right? Like every beach has a surf club.
Do you do clubbies?
Yeah. So that's what really, you know, probably started me being immersed in the ocean, was like doing nippers. So I started at Greenmount, went to Currumbin, ended up back down this end, but learning all that aspect about the ocean is kind of crucial, because like, you know, from where I am today and everything I've experienced since then, like to learn about the ocean, like the ocean's dangerous. Like,
it's so dangerous, man.
It's even when it's small, big, whatever, like you can get seriously hurt. So it's like forever looking out for your friends, especially when we're surfing these days. But I think starting that journey of like being a nipper and a surf lifesaver, like it molds you into like, you know, a waterman in a way, you know. And I think it's crucial if you're going to have some kind of any career, even if you're like swimming in a pool, like you just never know what someone like could happen to someone. Being able to learn how to save someone, like I think that's a big part of like all that.
Have you had any near misses with crew like out in the water, like having to save anyone?
For sure, yeah. Like I you know, there was one actually one day I was at Rainbow and I was surfing a wave and all I saw was a board floating. I'm thinking, oh, you know, like just a snap leash.
Yeah.
I pulled the board and there was a weight on the end. And then some guys literally popped up and he was like, must have hit his head. He was dazed, but like, you know, you just don't know between time, if I wasn't on that wave or whatever, what could have happened, you know, what could have been. But like, lucky it wasn't too severe. But there's been heaps of times when, you know, your mates hit the reef or hit their head. I've hit my head plenty of times. Like I could go on all day about times I've hit my board, but I try to forget about those.
Man, I remember we were surfing like south coast of Sydney when I was living in Sydney the last couple of years. And it was a fully secluded beach. Like I think it was me, through 3 or 4 of our mates, and we'd just surf. We'd come in and grab some like water or maybe a bite to eat.
Yeah.
And some tourists came down, and you could tell that the tourists, because they were full like jeans, like pants set up, like in full clothes swimming. And we're just having a drink of water. We're watching them, and then one of their mates, like their girls, sprinted up to us and was like, "Our friends can't get back in." Like obviously just stuck in a rip.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, so we ran down and they were just off a ledge. So all we have to do is like pull them back in. Like we weren't that deep. But I was like, guys, like you got to be so careful, because if we're not here, that rip takes you, like you're probably gone. Like that's probably a reality, yeah?
It is a huge reality. And like, I think for all of us that have been around the ocean, like we understand to like really relax. And especially when things start, you know, going haywire, you've got to really relax and chill out. But like for people like that who aren't around the ocean too much, they panic. And once you panic, we all know what happens when you panic. You know, you lose your breath and everything starts to ache, right? It just feels like everything's so much harder. And then next minute's like, you don't want to think about the next minute, but like it can get pretty bad pretty quick.
Yeah. So obviously, like, mate, you like surfed all through like your juniors. When did it start to become a reality where you're like, surfing is something that I want to do professionally?
I think, like doing the nippers and learning all about that, and obviously after we did the nippers, like I loved it a lot, but like I always was looking out of the surf. Like, come on, when's this thing wrapping up? I want to get out there, and I think everyone surfs, so it was great afterwards. Like they're still friends, like we said before, like to this day and age, I'll see them out or whatever, and you reconnect with people like that. But then, I guess coming back to the whole surfing thing, it was like growing up here, it's been a world title rich area for a very long time, since, you know, the early 2000s, and, you know, Joel, Mick, Steph, like just to name 3 that have, you know, got world titles, and Oki and those guys. Like
all that, like Palmy crew as well.
Yeah.
All went to PBC.
Yeah, exactly, which is insane to think. So they were kind of idols, you know. There was a bunch of other pro surfers too, but like they were going for world titles and winning, you know, the highest of surfing events. Yeah. And so I was looking up to that, and I was seeing these guys are surfing for a living. They're making heaps of money at these comps, and they're traveling the world. I was like, sign me up, you know, like I want to do that. So I started competing at maybe like 8, doing events, and like I wasn't the best but I love surfing. So I knew I was like, you know, if I just keep doing this, like I'm going to have a lot of fun regardless of where it takes me. But I think it was about going to PBC, surfing every day, and being immersed in like that culture of like going to events and trying to get better, and just, you know, all that time spent in the water. I was like, gee, I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, how good is this? And that was probably, you know, between the age of when we were at school, 15 to 17 or 14 to 17. And, you know, you start getting a few sponsors, like a bit of money. And I started probably competing a lot better then between the age of 8 and like 15, started doing better in comps. And I think that's when that like, whoa, like, what's next after school, right? Like everyone's thinking, oh, uni or TAFE or, become a Sparky, Chippy, whatever it may be, a trade. I was like, I'm surfing. Like, I want to travel and surf.
Who was the first sponsor that came on board?
Oh, gee. I actually so I'm actually still with them to this day.
Sick.
Shapers Fins, they're in Crumben.
So cool.
Beautiful family. So I could, so I've probably been with them for like 13 years.
Wow, man.
And it's a really cool relationship. That's the outdoors, right?
That's the outdoors we're going to
That's our local airport.
Plane flying across.
But yeah, so like they're the things with surfing that I've always tried to cherish is like the relationships you build even with its like sponsors or traveling around the world and all those kinds of things. Like to this day, I'm still riding the same fins. They're making me, personalized custom deck pads and all these kind of things. And I'm forever grateful for things like that and, the people you kind of get to meet and build those, relationships with.
Because that's a cool thing, man. Especially when you're in high school, just like getting anything for free is like, it's cool. It's cool. Like I remember I was at Bronx, like did all like junior development at Bronx and we would get a free pair of boots. And sick. We would be frothing, like it'd be the coolest thing. And then like not seeing the guys at Palmy getting free boards, like because I think we've had this conversation before where it's just like a lot of surfing crew like they like footy, but a lot of the footy crew they like surfing, So it's like there's that mutual respect, bit of crossover. Yeah. So it is cool, like it's cool to do that. Does it get surreal like when you're probably 11, year 12, where you're like, oh, actually people like want to come on board, I can actually like start making money. Is it a bit of a wig out?
You know what? Like, I think I kind of manifested it. Yeah. Like I really wanted it. And I think it was about grade 11, like maybe 10, 11, I was getting a few sponsors and I realized I was starting to do better in comps, taking a few trophies home and whatnot and traveling around. And like, I was lucky, like my parents, especially my mum, she'd take me to a lot of events and that was, where you got to start somewhere, right? So kind of started doing a bit better, and then I had like management companies trying to hit me up in that. I'm still with the same manager to this day, and he's helped me a lot. Like, it's just you got to have someone you can bounce things off. And it was probably grade 12 at the start where I had companies start approaching, and throwing good contracts. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is epic. Like, I'm going to leave school and have something to do. Like I'll be working essentially, which is it was surfing.
Little Grom and a tinny.
Okay, so that was me when I was his age.
Yeah, bro. That's actually you, man.
So I was in a boat about that, so that's what I learned to drive.
You're a tinny rat.
That was it.
What a legend.
Oh, there's a couple. Yeah, right. Sick.
I love that, man. But yeah, so you were saying like it's actually you knew that was probably going to be the reality, like coming out, like you got enough money to live, to travel around, like that's such a sick thing.
So I think it was grade 12. Started doing like the Pro Junior Series, which is the under 20. It was under 20 division with the WSL. Yeah. And they were all over the world at that point. We were going to New Zealand. We had an event in Tahiti. We had a bunch down the East Coast. And that's when I kind of started making some money. And I did quite well the first year I did. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I made a couple semi-finals. And then I think that year I got selected to represent Australia. And we went to America. And then, I think that's kind of when you start to have those opportunities. Sponsors go, oh, wow, like he's kind of going places or whatnot. And he's, representing the country and whatnot. So that's... I think I was 17. I signed with Oakley. Yeah. Head to toe deal. Obviously they're a huge sunglass company. But I was lucky enough to go fully head to toe. Couple year contract leaving school. I was like, this is epic. Yeah. Like, how good I get to surf and do what I love to do.
What's the natural progression for most surfers? Because obviously, like, I imagine the dream is WSL. Yeah. Like if you're looking top goal, like that's probably it. Yeah. What's the progression to get there? Or is everyone kind of a little bit different?
To be honest, that's the thing with surfing. There's only really one pathway if you're a competitive surfer. Australia's beautiful for that because there's so many grommet events. So a grommet's a kid of younger age. We all know a grommet.
Yeah.
But there's surfing Queensland, surfing New South Wales, the whole Australia surfing Oz. There's so many events they put on for kids under 16, and that's the stepping stone to like, you kind of do good in those. And I feel like for a parent, you could tell if your kid's going to maybe pursue it more or for longer of how they're doing in those events, because those kids they're versing at those age, like the kids I was versing at those age brackets, the ones that were at the higher end of those events, they continued on to the next rank.
Gotcha.
To the Pro Junior. And then from the Pro Junior, the ones that did slightly better, they went on to the qualifying series. And then, you know, obviously I didn't get to quite the CT, but, you know, a few of my mates that I was, you know, surfing against, and, you know, we were beating each other back and forth, and, you know, a few of them have progressed on.
Yeah.
But there's only one pathway to competitively at this point in time is like the championship tour with the WSL. But it's not for everyone. Like, I have other mates who we did the junior events together, and they've had amazing careers and making 5 times the amount of money just free surfing and making videos.
So I'd love to break that down and probably learn a little bit more of the free surfing space, because like from my point of view, it's like you got competitive surfing, but then free surfing looks so fun, man. Like you could pitch ideas to brands, travel around. Like that's kind of also the dream as well.
Yeah. So I've always I'm a competitive person. Like I've always been competitive, and I feel like both of us probably know this. Like as athletes growing up, like we're competitive with everything you do. Like you have your one profession that you commit to, but then, you know, everything else you're so competitive with. And I've loved competing, and I've had really good like comp results, and it's still, for me, I still love that. Like whenever I'm surfing that, so you kind of jostling with your mates in a way. But then I've kind of stepped away from it a little bit, and I've started doing a lot more like YouTube videos, and I enjoy, like, it's funny with comps because they're set at a certain time. So you go, you know, there's 52 weeks in a year, so, you know, there might be 10 comps. So for 10 weeks of the year, you go into these certain spots, and like, as a person who surfs, the weather is our biggest dictator of everything. So you're hoping that 1 week of the year that surf spot's going to be pumping when you go there. And most of the time it's terrible. You know, you fly all the way around the other side of the world and you're at this world-class spot, but the weather doesn't play ball and it's just terrible. And you're like, gee, I've spent like $5,000 to come to this event, being knocked in the first round. Like, I haven't made any money. Like, and that can just like toll up after a few events. And, you know, obviously some people are better at surfing in worse ways. And I like surfing in better ways. Like, like it's way more fun. Human, mate, It's way more fun. And so that's the difference with, like, you know, competitive surfing is like, it's set time. You got to go out. You're on at 7:30 tomorrow. You got 3 other guys who are just as hungry as you. But then with the whole, like, we call it making content or whatever it may be, because wherever you want to put your videos, you know, you can put them out. But you can do it however way you want. You can express who you are, what you're doing, and you can branch it to a pretty wide audience, because like when you're surfing in an event, you might be in Europe, it might be 2 a.m. back here, and you're trying to wake your parents up, and they want to watch you, and your friends, they miss the heat, and you've done well. They're like, oh, we tried to watch a replay, couldn't even find it online. But, you know, when we put videos on YouTube and Instagram and all the social media, like it can be seen by so many people. And the best part about that is I feel like people can keep up with what you're doing. Like family, friends, like those people you meet on the road, it's like at any point in time they can like log on, have a look at what you're doing, contact you. Like, and that's the cool thing. Like, obviously social media is like consuming everyone's time, but like there's positives to it. Did you
get any pushback from older crew? Because I remember like when we were coming through at Bronx, like there was a few guys who were like really leaning into the content space, like Jordan Kahu, Alex Glenn. They were shooting content back when we were like, I was 20, they might have been like mid-20s at the time. But there was the older guys who were like the senior, the role models, the guys that you looked up to, and they would almost like half bag them and like kind of pull them back into that little bubble of like professional sport. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, you're trying to make, I don't know what it is, but they're trying to like bring you back down a little bit almost. Did you have crew that would like not really get around the content space?
So that's the funny thing with surfing is like, I've probably been doing the YouTube videos and online stuff maybe like the last like 18 months. So it's very fresh. I'm still learning a lot. But the funny thing with surfing is we go to spots and obviously you don't want to surf with too many people. And so when you're filming, it's kind of like there's certain spots you can't film, there's certain spots you can film. It's like you got to be selective with how you put the content out, when you're posting it. Because people like I'm lucky enough I get to surf every day. So I'm very... I guess in tune with like the forecasting, and I love it. Like I love being able to predict what's going to happen and looking at the next swell and the next good surf. Like for me, that's like my biggest hobby is like I get on the computer and I'm studying all the weather patterns.
Just a full nerd,
Yeah, like because for me that's like the next, you know, great wave or whatever, great session, whatever it may be. So then it's like you want people to follow this journey that you're doing, but it's like how much you want to show them. Like, do I want to blow up a spot that like maybe in a week or a month or a year is going to be unbelievable, and there's however many people watch this video from previous and they're there, so it's like.
But can you just not tag the location, or people like they'll figure it out?
It's like people will watch this and figure out where we are.
Yeah.
Like it's like surfing. You watch a headland, a rock wall, like any kind of beach, or a cafe you go to afterwards. It's like people figure things out, and that's the thing with like the older boys will be like, they'll see cameras, and I've been to spots where you're not allowed to film and you try and think about ways to do it, and you just go, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Is it worth the blow up or the backlash? And there's ways to juggle it and there's ways to manage it, but you just got to do it as best as you can.
Because I enjoy consuming the content. Even what we were saying this morning, talking to Corbs as well, it's like capturing the in-between moments. Like don't get me wrong, like love watching the clips, love what you're putting out, but also even the camping stuff, like you rolling into like, what does the setup look like? Like, what does the morning look like brewing a coffee, getting the board ready. Like that stuff's really cool. And it doesn't have to be like super cinematic. Like it could just be like a little bit raw, a little bit rogue, but it's cool content. It's like, that's stuff that I enjoy watching.
Yeah. It's funny because those moments that when you're camping with your friends and the people you've grown up with, it just feels normal what you're doing, and then people watch it, they go, God, we couldn't even understand half the stuff you're talking about, and you guys are rambling on and this and that and throwing up these swags so quickly and whatnot. Like it's just normal, and like people get a kick out of that. They enjoy watching it because it's so different to maybe what like their friends and they do together. And the banter around a morning coffee is like, we had it this morning. Like we could have filmed this morning around the crap we were talking about, but that is like what people want to see, and I've understood that now because we try and go and film the best surfing we can possibly do, but half the time, to be at your A+, like sporting, whatever it may be, it's like, it doesn't happen every day. It's hard to like capture that. Some of the best surfs like I'll ever have not been caught on camera. It's just like the luck of the draw. But that's the thing, like people so much aren't interested in like, whoa, that session. It's like, what happened around it? How'd you get to that point? I'm learning, like people want to know how you figured out how the surf was going to be good and the tides and the wind and all this stuff. And there's a whole aspect to it of like, how it all works.
How do you balance the training aspect of it? Because I imagine like you probably, like you have to stay fit. Obviously you're going to be fit surfing. Like you were saying you did 8 hours on the ski the other day. Like that's obviously going to keep you fit, but do you incorporate like strength training, like other sorts of training as well? How do you balance that?
Surf when the surf's good, train when the surf's bad.
Is that it?
It's pretty simple.
I love that, man.
But honestly, just when the waves are good, like for me at the moment, when the surf's pumping, that's like an event for me.
Yeah.
It's like you surf all day and you try and just like get as many waves as you can and have fun. Like I just try and, better myself every time, make a better video or just have more fun. And, you just want to get better waves. Like as a surfer, like that first wave you ever got, like a good barrel, a good air, it's like, that's like the stepping stone, the catalyst of like, I want everyone to be better than that. But you're always forever chasing that. Like it's a beautiful thing with surfing. But I do still train, like, because there'll be weeks of, pretty average surf, or I had a trip in the end of May, start of June, a couple months ago, and we went on a last minute boat trip to Indonesia. And, like boat trips are one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, man.
But we timed it up with a really good swell. So for 8 days or 10 days we were out there, we were getting, 6 to 8 foot barrels. And it was the most incredible trip, and the footage and the memories and the friendships that came out of that were like, when we posted, we haven't posted any content, any videos, but we're doing a video now, and I watched it 2 days ago, and I was like, gee, like it's going to be hard in my lifetime to top a trip like that again.
Really?
Yeah, that's how special it was. And you watch the footage back and you go, it gives you goosebumps of like how's, things like that. Like, because you could have said no to a trip like that. You could have gone too hard, too expensive, like, is it going to be good, this and that? But you take a punt as a surfer, I think we spent, 6, 7, 8 grand, whatever it might have been. But at the end of the day, you look back on it now and go, I'd spend 15 grand and do it again because of how like beautiful it was. And they're the things that like, so after that trip for the next month, I was like, it's a borderline depression thing because you think when like I'm back home, even though my home is beautiful, like I might not get a wave like that for a couple of months. Might not even be this year. Like I'm fine with that. I got waves that I go, that satisfied me for the rest of the year, but it doesn't matter. You wake up the next day and you go, I want more.
Do you think that's what makes it like so appealing about it, because you don't know when the next fix is going to be?
For sure. Like
100%.
It could be tomorrow. Yeah. It could be in a week. It could be in a year. And you go, That's what it keeps you like. It drip feeds you. It keeps you hanging along.
It gives you like we had a really great swell this last week, right? And it's starting to drop off, and it's just like, well, fuck, when's the next one going to be, right? And
like,
then,
to be honest, I'm buggered. Like we surfed today, and I had a great time, and it was good to catch up. But like I'm out there, I'm going, I'm tired. You know, like I had a couple of big days, but that's the thing. Like I still, even though we're surfing, 1 to 2 foot waves, I still had a ball.
Yeah.
And I had so much fun. And that's the thing about surfing is like, as I've gotten older, you take different boards out, or you surf with different people, you surf different spots. So there's so many different avenues you can go to have fun. And I think that's forever for people that like, a lot of my friends that I used to surf with every day when we were growing up. They've strayed away from that because it is hard sometimes to find time to go surfing when it's good, and you've had great surfs before, so when the surf's not as good, it's like you're trying to find that epic time again. You just got to get out there.
Yeah.
You just got to go do it. Like we had so much fun this morning.
The best
ever. I had a ball.
And probably one of the biggest questions that I wanted to talk to you about is like the love of surfing, and like staying in love with surfing, because this podcast and even just talking to mates and through lived experience, talk to guys in the NRL space, AFL space, the Olympic swimmers, and you put so much time and effort into it. Like it consumes your life. Like you said, you surf every day, and like I've been in times where at footy where I'm like, this sucks, especially in pre-season when you're getting rissoled. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
And so like, and I look at crew at surfing, and you do it because you love it. Like to be honest, I was playing footy purely because like it was cool. I could be around mates, but it was my job by the end of it. Like I probably wasn't in love with it. Like I really enjoy surfing, but you love surfing, but it's also your job. How do you go balancing the two?
So what you just said, you hit it perfectly. Like you hit the nail perfectly on the head just then. Like it became a job. Like, and it does. I think any athlete or sports person who does something for so long, it doesn't matter how much you love it, you still fall out of love with things.
Yeah.
And like I've probably only learnt that in the later years of my life, is like you got to still find the fun and like the most beautiful parts that you love about it. Like, and there'll be weeks where I don't feel like surfing. I don't even want to look at my boards, and I always just have to go back to those years when we were finishing year 12 and then go, like how much did I love the position I'm in now? Like I was waiting to get to this position, and like it does give you goosebumps, because you just think like I've forever wanted this, and like I'm not going to throw it away and be lazy and like be a drop kick. Like I do love this sport, and like I've figured that there's times when I'm not going to love it, and that's fine. Like you got to realize that like you can't do the same thing every day. No one can. Like it doesn't matter how good what you do is. Like you got to have time to rest. And as my whole philosophy is like I struggle to rest.
Yeah.
Like I'm a go person. I want to do things. I want to make things worthwhile and like have a lot of fun, because we're only at this point in time once. Like tomorrow's gonna be a whole new day. We don't know what's gonna happen. All that stuff. And it's like you got to just live it now while you can. Like I don't know if I want to be surfing 10, 20, 30 years. Like I look at guys out there now who are like 60. And I'm like, gee, they still love it that much. I'm like, you know what? Damn, I hope I'm still loving it that much. And I want to be like, however I can make it fun and keep the love going, like I will. I think that's the cool thing, like picking apart like the good parts of it, especially like you going down camping with the boys and surfing. Like I imagine that's a fun thing for you guys to do. Yeah. And that's like zooming in on the fun stuff. Yeah, you got to accentuate those things that make that so fun. Like where I live is beautiful, but I've surfed it for almost 20 years.
We're getting so old, bro.
I know.
We're
That's
getting
freaky.
so old, man. Yeah.
God, yeah. But like I've surfed the same beaches for 20 years and I absolutely love them. But some days I look out there and go, gee, it's a lot busier and it's a lot more people and all this kind of stuff. And you got to just put that in the back of your mind and go like, stuff it. Like I'm out there because they're doing the same thing I'm doing. Like it's for the love of catching a wave. And it's harder at some days for sure. But like I think for any sports person, like you have to just... Yeah, okay, if you're not feeling it that day, have the time off. Like, do something different. Like, I love my golf. I love my camping. I love fishing. Like, I have all these other hobbies. So I do get pretty wrapped up with other things. And that's, I love it. Like, it's perfect. But for some people who might not have those other hobbies, you got to figure out, like, what you're going to do when you don't feel like doing what you love. Yeah. Right?
Because I look at a lot of career, like, especially in footy, like golf is a huge outlet.
It's so big.
It's so big, especially after COVID. Like,
right.
I'm a COVID golfer, like 100%. Like,
there we go.
Yeah, but it's that was a cool thing, just to get away from footy. Yep. Like you, and especially around. My favorite thing about golf, like golf's fun and it's cool. Another little jet ski rolling past. Yeah, boys.
That's me later.
Like,
I bought a new jet ski and I haven't used it yet.
Really?
I want to get out there.
Fuck you! I thought you were cooked. Okay, that's the fun part.
It's a new day. I'm out there.
yeah. I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah, the hobbies. Golfing.
The hobbies. Yeah, golf. Yeah, but it was just like love golf. It's a fun activity, but being around your mates for 5 hours, you're probably not really touching your phone either. It's such a good little getaway, good little detox. But my favorite thing is around getting around with your mates. 100%.
Yeah.
Even like before this podcast, like I really love, I've said this before, most people who listen to this podcast will know, like I like to do something with the guests beforehand, like whether that's like a training session, a sauna, recovery, like go for a run.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
Now surf, like this is such, like, to be honest, this has been my favorite morning.
Sick.
Like this is like,
me too. That was epic. You wouldn't have got me up out of bed if it wasn't for this. So I'm thrilled.
But like that's what I meant, mate. Like we got to surf. We had a coffee, good little catch up, heap of laughs, and then we rolled into this and like using this as a catch up.
Yeah.
Fuck, how lucky are we, man?
No complaints. This is epic.
How do you go like with your mates? Like obviously like probably a lot of the crew that you knock around with are surfers as well. Like is that, I don't want to say like how do you like not pick your mates, but like are these just crew that same interests, similar interests?
For sure. Yeah, I think most of my mates definitely surf. But in saying that, I have a lot of mates who don't surf. Like I'm a very, like I like to be a social butterfly. Like I'm not like, I won't not hang with people because they don't surf. You know, that's like, I have so many buddies at golf. Yeah. And we bro down over golf and fishing and all these other aspects. And that's the cool thing about life is like, it doesn't, you know, we don't surf together. Much. Except today. But like, you know, I can sit down and talk to you about footy and you can talk to me about surfing and like that's just life. Like you can pass so much knowledge around and it's sick. Like obviously I hang with a lot more of my surfing mates, but they don't have to surf. Like, they could be whoever.
I was trying to get our mate Keenan Palliser in here this morning. Keenan went to school with us. He's actually playing. He plays for the Titans, Gold Coast Titans. He's playing Brisbane Bronx this afternoon. Yeah. And because you guys were obviously in the same similar class.
So in trouble at school. He was so loud, and I think I just joined in. And
he's such a bad influence, man. Like, and he's but we actually went surfing when we were kids in like year 8. We took Keenan out on like this big.
I wish I
board.
saw that,
mate. That's why I bring it up. I was like, you would laugh so hard, man. Big Polynesian dude, like he's so funny, man.
I would have set up a camera that day.
I think we should. Well, like, and I said come for a coffee afterwards, but they're in full game day mode. They got to win tonight against the Bronx. But we will. We'll go surf. We'll get them on a couple logs. But that's like even this morning we were filming a clip for Movember. Which is like obviously I've been ambassador for the last 8 or 9 years, and Movember's a men's mental health organisation. And the cool thing, like they just put out a report. Oh no way! If we get a couple hello. Couple doggos running around.
Hey, always see someone that I know around here. This is what happens when this is your like little neighbourhood. Hey, put them on a lead, mate.
This is so sick. You alright, bro? But they the thing about Movember is that they're putting out this report, which is really cool. Gives some really great insights into some statistics around isolation, suicide and suicide prevention, healthcare professionals, and to be honest, like suicide is still the leading cause of death for men ages between 23 and 44.
I hate hearing that.
I fucking hate hearing that, man. And it's like. And because obviously we've both lost mates to suicide, that's probably one of the big reasons why I got into mental health, like out of high school, like got involved in stuff with Movember because I don't want to lose any more mates. Yeah. Big part of the reason of this conversation and super grateful to have you on. It may even like we were supposed to film this clip for Movember. The concept is kind of around like community, mates, friends. So that's why like us 4 lads like going for a surf this morning, coffee, like that'll be the clip, that'll be the video. That's good. But we were supposed to film it not too long ago, and our videographer Kim, who's with us now, like that week lost one of his family members to suicide. And like, and that just shows like how fucking close and how it hits home and how it's still so relevant in community and in our day-to-day lives. And it's just, it sucks, man. It's a permanent solution for a temporary problem. Yeah.
I hate hearing it, like, because a lot of the time, especially at our age, you're too young. Like, you're too young to be leaving that for everyone else to have to deal with for the rest of their lives. And like, I get it. Like, life's not easy. Like, it sucks at times. Like, it's as much as like we can be positive and this and that. Yeah, it's never easy. Like, it's always there's ups and downs. But like, I think to leave that, like, for anyone who would be thinking that route, like, it's no easier for your mates that you leave behind. Like, it's shit. And I think as I've gotten older too, like, I've realized so many, there's a lot of friends that I've, in and out of friendships with, like, you can just see, like, they're obviously struggling. Like, we all struggle at times, and it should be fine. Like, as males, like, it should be fine to struggle. Like, but it's like you gotta talk to your mates. Like, and that's the coolest thing about, I think, where we live and the days we have. Like, we have so many hobbies and hang out with friends. Like, a bunch of my friends, like, we have 8 friends, and we might not all surf together, but we all golf together. Yeah. We all love it. And we can bro down and, like, have a game of golf, and you can tell someone's, like, energy through golf, right? You see if they're not as, like, present or whatnot, and it's sometimes hard. Like you said, like, that stat about males, like, fuck, like, people should be able to speak up. Like, there's nothing wrong in that. Like, and that's what pisses me off the most when you hear that news. Is like, is
that something that you use to chat to mates around? Is like going out, like, in, like, using your hobbies, like whether it's golf, surfing, camping, that's like just an easy integration?
Even, like, people say, oh, you shouldn't go and have a beer, but it's just it's the time together. It doesn't matter, like, you never force anyone to go and do anything, but, like, it's just that the catch up, right? Sometimes it's a phone call, like, you can check in, and, like, you know what the worst thing is I've gathered is, like, you try and contact those people and you try and get them out, and they're not in the mood. Yeah. And it's hard. Like, I get it, and you don't want to push them into doing anything they don't really want to do. But, like, I hope that anyone who hears this, like, I'm forever open to, like, talking to people. I'll drop whatever the fuck I'm doing to like help someone out, because at the end of the day, like, nothing else really matters other than, like, I've figured life's too beautiful. Right. It's so fucking sick. Like, I don't care what you're going through. Like, the things, like, even what we did this morning, like, hey, surf wasn't that good, but the positive was we were all together, like, and it was so fun. Like, and there's so many times when I've, like, looked around what I'm doing, I'm like, this is so fun. I couldn't imagine doing, anything else right now. Man. And it's beautiful. Like, I imagine there's probably, like, there would be crew who, like, don't feel like they've got that kind of people to lean Someone
on.
to lean on, yeah.
I feel like
I hate that.
And I try and think around, like, well, what are, like, some practical solutions? Like, what are some practical things that, like, that help us? And I can only live on, like, lived experience, like, because I lean on my mates. And to be honest, I don't tell, like, a lot of crew what's going on. I probably got like 2 or 3 crew that I'll lean on. Yeah. But it's just like, well, I know, like, when you're in that headspace, it's, like, dark and you feel like you probably there's no way out and you feel like there's no other solution. Yeah. But it is just a trough. Like, it is honestly just the trough. And, like, to be able to string a couple good days together, and, like, even, like, if you feel like you don't have that, someone, like, probably getting around an environment that probably accommodates to that. For sure. That's why, like, and, like, run clubs are such a big thing now, but that's such a beautiful way of, like, crew getting healthy, crew knocking around each other, and then creating community and like, creating mates. Yeah. I like you said, like, for people that are struggling, like, that trough, like, everyone's been in the trough. Like, it's fine. Like, but I think about, like, those times when, things sucked, things weren't working out, but, like, how good is it coming out the other side of, like, it doesn't matter, like, what it might be. It's a goal, it's a job, it's a relationship, whatever it may be that's gotten you down. It's like the other side of that is so freaking sick. And that's what you got to realize that, like, it gets so cool. And, but you got to give yourself the opportunity to allow yourself to get there. Has there been any times where you've been in that dark spot and then, like, you've actually come out and you've come out the other side? For sure. Yeah, for sure. Like, might be personal things, it might be, like, competition things, like, I feel like there's not a lot of times, and, like, I'm a very positive person. Like, I try my best to be, like, life's too beautiful to be down. But yeah, there's times when things are tough and things aren't working out. You try so hard for things, and they don't work out, and it's like, God, it sucks. Like, it is hard. Like, there's days or weeks where you just, like, I really wanted something, or, there was things that didn't work out in your life and whatnot. But I just always got to know that things get better. Yeah. What things go down, things go up. What did you do? Like what are some things that you actually focus on? Things I loved. Yeah. Yeah. Focus on a lot of things I loved, and just you keep at it. Like, you know what? The thing is, though, like, there's days when it's fine to just chill and relax and, feel it. You got to feel it. Like, once you feel how bad and how shitty things are, like, the energy on the other side of that, it makes it feel better, I think. Like, I've had days when I've sat inside all day and just sort of, I can't get any better. Like, what do I? Like, I don't know. Like, this sucks.
But that's just a temporary. That's yesterday. It's like, things haven't worked out. Things will work out.
What's the I'm super curious to get a bit more of an understanding of like what it's like in the surfing culture, because I know when I was playing footy, like coming into like a professional environment, probably not a big thing to talk around like how you're feeling. It would like laugh about it now, but it's just it's changed. Like it has changed so much. Like we've got so many great role models in the NRL community who are so open about talking around what their struggles are, what they're going through, and it kind of takes a bit. Like Nico Hines is a perfect example. We had him on the podcast, and he's been so open about his story, and even like little moments afterwards, like when you're out with a few of the boys, and I'm sure it's similar to surfing, but you might not know someone in the NRL space, but you know of each other, and there's a mutual respect. So when you see each other, you can knock around, you can have fun, and when people are more likely to be open about their own experiences, I found people respect that compared to what it used to be like back in the day. Yeah. It's definitely changed. What's the surfing landscape like in the mental health space?
I feel like it's quite similar. It's like the older guys, the older generation, they're quite tough. They're thick-skinned. Nothing really comes out. Nothing really goes in, right? But like, we're only human. It's just like, it is what you make it, and that's the cool thing about surfing is like, there's definitely different areas of people who are, how could I say it? That's their local spot and this and that, and you kind of go there. But, like I've been to plenty of spots and met new friends through good days of surfing or whatnot, or, if it's through another friend that was there, and you connect. You can connect on the same wavelength because of, the same passion you share. And that's epic. You might not bro down with them right then and there, but it's, you get them online and you might, talk back and forth or whatnot. You might see them in 10 years. Yeah. Like, it's just, that's always the cool thing about life is like, you meet someone new and you just never know when you run into them again.
Bro, that's so cool. Mate, what's, you got heaps happening. You got a heap of travel. There's some really fun things coming up. What are you excited for going forward?
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for everything. Like we just had a really good run of waves. And for me, back in the day, it used to be just surf, and that was it. That's where I would go and whatnot. But since we've been making a lot more movies and content, it's like we get to surf and film, and then we get to sit down and look at what we captured. Yeah. And now it's a really fun aspect for me is like, looking at what we've captured, and I try and be like creative. I really enjoy like, thinking about what we can make out of what. So
are you going through clips as well?
Yeah, for sure.
You going through it all? Yeah. Doing the editing?
I don't. So I edit.
Yeah.
I have buddies who are a lot better.
Yeah.
So, I try to help.
Stay in your lane, mate.
I stay in my lane, yeah. But it's good because like my roommate I live with, Jesse, he's a freelance filmer, editor, and he's incredible. So he like helps me tremendously. And we go back and forth, He films me and then we get to work together doing little videos, and I feel like it's kind of the way things are moving in the whole surfing space with like, marketing with sponsors and all that kind of thing. You can put a video out there, it's on there forever. Like, I can go surf an event in Europe and make a few heats, but I don't think anyone's going to remember 27th in 5 years, Like,
yeah, man.
You always remember a winner, but even second place, it's kind of like, gee, like it's tough. Like I lost a lot more than I won for sure. But then being able to make these videos and content, like it's definitely given me a new perception on like, the activities I do and I think about the ways trips that I do and are all around the surfing, because half the time you go to certain spots or trips and like, the weather doesn't play ball.
Yeah.
But you film all the other stuff about trying to find the waves, and people find it. I hope they find it interesting. I might be just talking crap half the time. But that's just us, and like that's the cool thing. I watch a lot of stuff online these days. Like I don't know about everyone else, but I don't really watch too much mainstream media and all that kind of stuff because it doesn't interest me a whole lot. But the whole YouTube space and. I don't watch as much surfing as I do these days as I used to.
Yeah.
But I still love watching surfing. But the whole golfing and UFC, all these other sports, like the footy, all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Of like how people train and what they're eating and traveling, blah, blah, blah. Like it interests me a lot.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. And like I hope that like, I don't know, the stuff that we're doing is interesting. People find it interesting.
Well, I think so, especially like because even watching mates do it, like that's something that I like really, because obviously we've got people who we look up to, which is great, and we might not know, but I feel like when you've got a personal connection with someone,
Right.
love watching what they're doing.
Yeah.
Off, like you said, I think the training, eating, like what they're cooking. Like some guys in the footy world are like opening up cooking pages, and I was like, I love seeing that, man.
I want to try that recipe.
I want to try that recipe, or even like what you're doing, like capturing the whole camping stuff. And I'm like, man, I want to get this troopy on the road with you one day. Like that'd be so sick.
We're gonna get you decked out for sure.
It's a shell at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a shout out to Sam Zuby for letting me buy it off him.
That's Sammy. But yeah, like you said, like I think for us we're also lucky because the school we went to, a lot of people were very successful out of that school, and it's been epic watching everyone's like career paths. And you do, like I watch footy, but then when I was watching you guys play, Keenan, all those boys that we went to school with, like I watched more. And I like, to be honest, I would see you play, I'm like, fuck, I went to school with you. You guys sat next to him. Like we got kicked out of class together. And
sorry, Mum.
You know, and that's like such a cool thing about like life and the people you meet is like it's fun. And I was like keeping up with what you guys were doing and whatnot, and like I'm sure it goes vice versa with so many people out there. And like the funny thing about males is like I feel like people are too scared these days to like be positive, like, oh, watch your stuff, like that was epic, like you're doing well, like they'll be like, you know, like it's such a female thing to band together and be like, oh, you know, like you're doing so well and whatnot. And I think it's changing a lot with that whole, like you said, like the elder generation would be like, get off the phones, come on boys, like we're training, like we're here, no bullshit. But it's moving so quickly in that direction.
You know, do you know Ali Day? The lifesaver? Yeah, he's a legend. We did a podcast, I think it was like episode 2. And one of the things that he said, or he learned from someone, where it's just like, if you think a positive thing about someone, tell them.
Sick.
Because it's so nice. Like how nice is it when like, and it could be like a real rogue left field comment where I don't know, like, fuck, I don't know, like you're looking, it might be like you're looking good, you're training well, or like, I don't know what, like you look happy. I don't know. It's like, is that when you think of something, just tell them, because it has such a positive effect on the other person. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Cool.
When he said that, I'm like, I want to start, like I noticed that and I want to start doing that more. So, and I think more like, I do it in like more of a training environment because like we're obviously in and out of gyms a lot of the time. Very fortunate, like heap of like local crew opening gyms here on the Goldie. And so we'll pull crew in to do a session. And I'm like, man, you're looking so good. He's like, I've actually been working really hard.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, how good's that?
Or probably even like on the surfing front, like crew like ripping lately. It's like, fuck man, that was sick. That was a sick wave. I don't know.
I get that. Like I probably don't say it to my mates too much. I'm like, oh, I want to surf better than him. You know, like I'm so competitive. But like for me, and especially doing like a lot more of these videos and YouTube stuff, like it's for me, it's been really fun to learn the trajectory of like the views and stuff. It's taken off, like it has. It's like I've obviously set goals for yourself, but you know, and I want it to go bigger and better for sure. But the feedback is like, you know, I don't have my mates coming down. Or you know what? The coolest thing is I've had a lot of random people come up to me and go, oh, watch the last videos. And for me, that's a compliment. I'm like, whoa, like I don't have too many people who go, oh, I watched you come 5th over in Brazil or whatever it may have been. And you know, it's kind of like people can't watch it because it's on the other side of the world. But they watch these videos and the feedback I get, it makes me feel really happy. Yeah. But the best part about it is like, I've had a lot of the younger generation come up to me and they're like, oh, you know, we love the last video. Like, when's the next one come out? And that's kind of like, it froths me out because I'm like, okay, they're loving it. Yeah. I hope I'm inspiring them or, you know, frothing them up to keep on this path of like, you know, staying in the ocean and doing cool stuff. And it's made it a lot of fun. And that part of it, I've found is really cool. I didn't expect it. I think that's what kind of caught me off guard is like, you try and make these videos for your sponsors and to keep people happy, you know, around your mates and your family and that kind of thing. And it keeps me busy. But then to have like the younger kids that, you know, I didn't even really quite, you know, I knew like obviously they would be watching, but to inspire them, it's cool. I love that the inspiration bit. Yeah, I think that's it. That would be a huge part of it. And you can push good messages. For sure, you can push positive messages out and whatever you want to say, and you said it earlier in the conversation where it's like you can control the narrative of what you want to put out. If you want to have it like, you know, I guess like film it, self-serving, whatever. But if you're doing it to inspire crew, I love that piece. Like to be honest, like this is the podcast. Like with having crew who we all look up to, like talking around like their own struggles, their vulnerabilities, like.
if they can be seen doing it, makes it okay for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And so that younger generation coming through, like they're looking up to you as a full idol. Even Corbs was saying he's been jumping in to a few like kind of like coaching, mentoring things. Is it the
The HBC.
HPC?
Yeah.
And just like, man, it's sick because like we just surf with crew,
Yeah.
and obviously like he surfs really good. You got these young guys looking up to him, and he's like, they're gonna probably model themselves off the older crew, yeah,
Right.
like same
Yeah,
as what
yeah.
we did growing up. So
Totally.
I love that, man. I love that you're
Yeah.
inspiring crew. I think that's really special.
Yeah, it's you know, I just hope that like it doesn't even have to be surfing. Like if a younger, you know, grommet or whatever it may be, you know, wants advice on anything, like that's I've you know, been lucky enough, I've fortunate enough done things and been places and you know, if they need any answers, questions, whatever, like happy to help.
Yeah.
With anyone, anything, anytime.
Who were the crew that you were leaning on when you were coming through the ranks?
Oh, so many of the guys, you know, just a bit above me that had already been to certain spots, had done certain events, travelled to, certain airlines. You know, we had 30-kilo board bags, all that kind of stuff. You know, you just, the Parkinsons were a big help for me.
Yeah.
Joel and Mitch, all the guys above me. I could rattle off, you know, so many guys travelling on the QS. Tommy Whitaker, there's a bunch, I could name them all.
Yeah.
The guys who have done it before me, you know, helped tremendously. Like, because you can go figure it out for yourself, but it might take a bit longer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I figured it out,
Yeah.
but I definitely got the picture painted for me.
100%, mate. Stand on the shoulders of giants, man.
Yeah,
For
that's
those
it.
crew who've gone through
Yeah.
it, like, mate, I reckon I learned so much more being like knocking around with older guys. Like,
Yeah.
because obviously in footy, most of the guys range between like 18 to like 30, 35, yeah?
Yeah.
So even like buying your first house or like buying your first investment, these guys have been there and they've done it, and just like being a little
The tips.
sponge and just
Yeah.
like grabbing onto like these crew and just being like, oh, how did you do this, or what did that work out? And then now like going forward, like doing more stuff in like the content, like podcasting space, media space, is like I'll lean on crew who are actually like been doing it for 5-10 years, because it's a consistency thing as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's sick.
Brother, mate, I've loved this.
Yeah.
This has been so
It's
sick.
been a great catch up.
Mate, wins picking up. I think we'll probably have to wrap it up. Mate, before we do wrap things up, is there anything else that you want to touch on or touch on before we finish it up?
Well, I'll firstly say I love what you're doing. This is sick. Like, I've had a lot of fun. But I think, just for anyone like you touched on that is doing not as good as they wish they were doing, like, my door's always open and I'm happy to chat. And I think for me too, like, I've always had older guys, that have given me wisdom. So if there's anyone that, you know, wants to reach out on anything that I may have done in the past, I can help to a degree. But definitely ask. But I've had a lot of fun. This has been sick.
Jeez, I've got so much love for you, mate, Sheldon. Thanks so much.
Sheldon.
Thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate that. And mate, good luck with the couple trips coming up at the back end of the year. I'm very jealous. I'll be following along, man.
I'll send you some clips.
Cheers, bro.